What is up, everyone? We're back for another day of the round of 8 here at the ASL. We just finished up an incredible PvZ where Best came out on top against Action 3-1. Honestly, one of the most fun PvZ series I have ever cast.
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy one, and it just had the best storyline possible, right? Best going through. It did feel like Action was like throwing a little bit. It did feel like he had some winning positions a few times, but Best just defended beautifully and made quite a series. That was a very exciting day.
Before we get started today, we want to once again thank everybody who's been supporting us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/ASL English. We would not be able to do this without your support. So if you've been meaning to sign up and haven't gotten around to it, we're trying to give you that extra push.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. The season has been going fantastically, and we could not do it without you. Now, today, Tasteless, we have a really great match coming up. Mind versus Queen. What are some of your thoughts on this one?
Well, Mind has been really improving. He's looking a lot like the Mind from the past, the one that was defeating Bisu in the finals of StarLeagues. He's approaching the game in a very smart way. He seems to have the race very figured out. But if he can take on Queen, I think that would be absolutely wild, because Queen is one of the strongest modern Zergs we've had. There were years where he was looking like he might actually be the best StarCraft player in the world. He has fallen down a little bit from there, more of a round of 8, sometimes round of 4 ASL player, but Queen is still hungry to try to reclaim that position that he was at only a few years ago. It should be an interesting match. I still think Queen is favored, but if Mind takes it, it would just be another insane upset.
Yeah, we're going to get a real feel for exactly how good Mind is at the moment. He has been looking better and better and better. Like I said before, I think, honestly, there's a small possibility he's actually the second best Terran in the world right now. Like, his games have been immaculate, but we need to see more to really gauge it. And, I mean, what better match could you have than playing against Queen of all Zergs?
Yeah, and it's been an odd season overall, lots of upsets. These are certainly not the two Terrans I would have expected to be here. I think if you asked anybody in the world to guess, only 2 Terrans had advanced to the round of 8. Nobody's picking the 2 that we had here this time around.
병력이 안 죽었습니다. 이변이 나오고 있어요. 아, 병력의 양 보세요. 김태경 선수를 이렇게 잡아낼 정도라면 동서 남북에도 공격을 했어요. 고물대를 잡고 발견. 예선 다르고 24강 다르고 16강 경기력 또 달라요. 정말 오랜만에 4강에 진입. 이 연속 3대 승리 따내고 이번 시즌 4강의 주인공이 됩니다. 김명훈. 정말 노련한 판단, 완벽하게 속여 넘기는 김명훈 선수의 경기 운영. 완벽한 테란전.
나의 레벨은 다르다. 어나더 레벨 하식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌 15 8강 두 번째 경기를 앞두고 인사드립니다. 안녕하세요, 이영경입니다. 자, 오늘 8강 두 번째 경기는 더욱더 독한 독을 품고 돌아온 독사 박성균 선수와 ASL 최고의 적우 김명훈 선수가 경기를 앞두고 있습니다. 선수들 만나보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
반갑습니다.
안녕하세요.
자, 박성균 선수 정말 성공적인 복귀 시즌을 보내고 계십니다. 16강에서도 훌륭한 경기력을 보여주셨는데요. 이제 4강을 향한 8강 경기를 앞두고 계십니다. 김명훈 선수가 그 상대인데요.
네.
대진은 좀 어떻게 마음에 드십니까?
에즈는 뭐 저 어차피 다 3저거였어가지고 네. 근데 뭐 김명훈, 김민철 있으면 김민철보다는 명훈 형이 더 나은 것 같긴 해요. 네.
어떤 부분에서 김명훈 선수를 조금 더 선호하시나요?
그냥 실력적인 면.
실력적인 면에서 김명훈 선수가 보다 더 낫다라는 말을, 보다 더 좀 편하다라는 말씀을 해주셨습니다. 자, 그리고 역시 ASL 내에서 그래도 강력한 저구의 모습을 보여주고 있는 김명훈 선수인데요. 상대는 테란 박성균 선수입니다. 좀 어떠신가요?
예, 제가 그 도지명식에서 말했던 그 어중간한 테란 중 한 명인데
어중간한 테란
예.
중 한 명이다.
어떻게 운 좋게 8강까지 와가지고 또 이렇게 대진운이 따라주는 것 같아요. 예, 그래서 굉장히 기분 좋습니다.
박성균 선수가 8강에 올라간 건 순전히 운이다라고 생각하시나요?
좀 운이 많이 따라준 것 같아요.
아 그래도 박성균 선수가 16강 23에서 좀 강력한 저그 선수들을 많이 상대하고 또 올라오셨습니다. 조일장 선수도 꺾고 올라오셨고 또 뭐
네.
박상현 선수도 꺾고 올라오셨고
아 그렇죠.
네 이렇게 김명훈 선수가 말씀하시는 건 조금은 마음에 들지 않으실 것 같아요.
근데 제가 요즘 뭐 온라인에서 성적이 막 그렇게 좋은 건 아니라서 뭐 그렇게 생각할 수 있다고 생각하고, 근데 저는 일단 짭제를 이기고 올라왔는데 저는 짭제가 더 잘한다 생각하거든요, 명훈 형보다. 그래서 차라리 오늘은 더 편할 것 같아요. 네.
이번 시즌에서 또 강력한 저그를 상대하고 또 8강에서 강력한 저그 김명훈 선수를 만나게 됐는데 그간에 상대한 박상현 선수, 조일장 선수와 김명훈 선수는 좀 경기 스타일이 좀 어떻게 다르다고 느껴지시나요?
명훈 형이 아무래도 뭔가 잡단 뭐 스킬 같은 뭐 이런 것도 잘 쓰고
네.
게임에 재주가 좀 많은 것 같아요.
재주가 많다.
네, 그래서 그런 재주만 부리게 하고 제가 게임을 이기면 될 것 같아요. 네.
잔재주는 김명훈 선수가 부리게 하고 승리는 내가 가져가겠다. 그리고 또 그럼에도 불구하고 김명훈 선수가 3테란조에서 또 올라온 저그잖아요. 김명훈 선수가.
네.
또 그간에도 김명훈 선수가 계속해서 어중간한 테란이라고 언급을 하고 계시는데 박성균 선수는 16강에서 상대했던 테란들과 어떤 부분이 좀 다른가요?
성균이가 그래도 나름 좀 경력이 오래돼가지고 대회 때는 실력보다 잘하는 것 같은데 상대전 선수들이 그거를 까먹고 좀 뒤통수 맞은 그런 느낌이었거든요. 그래서 저는 방심만 안 하면 될 것 같아요.
김명훈 선수는 또 워낙 경험이 많고 노련한 선수이기 때문에 오늘 박성균 테란을 상대로 어떤 모습을 보여줄지도 좀 기대가 됩니다. 자, 오늘 오전 3선승제 다전제를 앞두고 계시는데 어떤 시나리오를 그리고 계시는지도 궁금하거든요.
일단 뭐 그렇게 막 쉬운 맵들은 아니에요, 제 생각에. 그래서 뭐 이렇게 쉽게 가면 좋겠는데 그러니까 제 생각에는 뭐 풀세트를 갈 수도 있을 것 같아요, 잘하면. 네.
쉽지 않은 경기가 될 것 같다라고 말씀을 해주셨습니다. 김명훈 선수는 오늘 본인이 승리하고 4강에 간다면 어떤 시나리오대로 갈 것 같나요?
제가 만약에 이기면은 좀 쉽게 쉬운 스코어가 나올 것 같고 지면은 접전을 갈 것 같아요.
두 선수의 생각이 조금은 비슷한 듯 다릅니다. 오늘 경기도 정말 많은 분들의 관심 속에서 펼쳐질 텐데요. 팬분들에게 오늘 경기 임하는 각오를 끝으로 듣겠습니다. 박성균 선수.
일단 정말 오랜만에 또 이제 8강이고 이제 기대가 많이 돼요. 재밌을 것 같고 뭐 일단 제가 근데 어제 게임 봤는데 성대가 졌더라고요. 네, 저는 개인적으로 성대도 이기고 저도 이겨서 좀 만나고 싶었는데 그게 아쉽고 네, 올라가서 성대에 복수하겠습니다. 네.
좋습니다. 김명훈 선수 각오 한 말씀 들려주시죠.
어제 도재욱 선수가 이겼더라고요.
네.
저는 또 도재욱 선수를 응원했는데 꼭 4강에서 만날 수 있도록 열심히 하겠습니다.
네, 두 선수의 멋진 8강 경기 기대하도록 하겠습니다. 인터뷰 고맙습니다. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
나의 레벨은 다르다 어나더 레벨 핫식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌 15 8강 두 번째 경기가 여러분을 기다리고 있습니다. 과연 어떤 선수가 4강에 올라 도재욱 선수와 함께할 수 있을지 두 선수가 펼치는 경기 지금 바로 함께하시죠.
All right, we're going to get into this match in just a second. We are going to be starting this out on Sylphid. Obviously a very standard map, but going to map number 2, Queen has picked 76.
Yeah, that's going to be an insane match. We'll definitely talk a ton about that as we get there. I think it is a bit Queen favored from the Zerg vs. Terran matches I've seen on this map so far, so not surprised that that's an early pick for him there. It's going to be followed up by a very standard map from Mind in Vermeer, and then, of course, if we are still going, Dark Origin, so on and so forth. Yeah, I think the first map is incredibly important here, Tasteless. Honestly, like that, Sylphid is really going to set the tone because it can definitely go either way. Sylphid's like still probably the best 3-player map ever, And if you take that first map in the best of 5 on a map that's like pretty standard like that, you definitely have a big edge going forward, with especially with a crazy map like 76 coming up second.
I'm really interested to see what Queen has in store there. If it's going to be some kind of super quick, tricky cheese, or if it's just going to be a drawn-out macro game. We're still unpacking the map 76 in general and what it means for each of the matchups in the late game.
Well, as you can see, of course, Queen has one of the best records ever in ASL. Well, I guess this is specifically some of his best of 5s recently, but, you know, this guy has a couple top 4s, a couple championships under his belt as well, so certainly the favorite here against Mind, but if like, everything I've seen from Mind signals that he really is the real deal and maybe championship quality again.
Yeah, I'm interested. You know, with Queen's approach overall, I think this guy looks so scary sometimes. He's so strong. I think he does not struggle at all in the matchup, ZVT.
Yeah.
Extremely well-rounded. Again, I mean, I keep going back to 76. I really want to see how he would approach a map like that, because I think he has a very unique take on the race.
Yeah, well, Queen is certainly one of the leaders of Zerg. You know, I think one thing to mention is his Mutalisk micro has really looked on point this season. Like, it very, very good on the pressure, on the harassment. So as long as he can follow that up with solid macro play, he is maybe going to win a 3rd ASL.
He could. I mean, you know, we have a lot of people in the round of 8 that we just wouldn't expect to have this mix of players. Out of all the seasons we've done of ASL, and we're on the 15th one right now, this is by far the weirdest round of 8. No disrespect to the players that made it this far, but the number of upsets that were created and the pool of players, no one in the world could have predicted this. And I think we should expect more turbulence and turmoil as we get closer and closer to the round of 4. It's very possible that Mind takes this, and I think, again, that's another upset. When you get a player like Queen, there's very few players where Queen is not favored, right? And as well as Mind's been playing, I think you have to be realistic and say Queen should be able to take this. But if Mind does it, man, would that be in line with what we've seen this season so far?
Yeah, I guess it would be. And if he takes it, like, you know, you say it's like the weirdest top 8, which I would agree with, but none of the Zerg players are a surprise. You know, it's the Protoss and the 2 Terrans and all the people that fell out. Those are the shocks, but every Zerg that's in here definitely feels... You know, I think at the top of the world right now, I would imagine you agree with me, but let me get your take. It feels like the Zerg line at the very top of the world is much deeper than both Terran and Protoss.
Yeah, I think I could get behind that. Zerg seems to have been very strong as of late with a wide range of players. It was seeming like for a while, you know, Terran might have trouble as well, but we've had a couple great players rise at the top, and the lack of presence here with Flash. Protoss has looked good, but we seem like each of the top-tier Protosses has always had some kind of weakness that held them back, whether it was Mini's inability to kind of decide which build to use. Yeah, well, even just navigate a best of 5, you know.
Yeah.
Bisu seems strong, but never strong enough to not be taken out by another round of 8 or round of 4 player. And weirdly, Best now seems to be the strongest player that there is. You know, Snow, you know, this guy's a killer PvT, but he doesn't look anywhere near as good in the other matchups. Where PvT, he's easily the best of all time in that matchup.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, sorry, we're actually going into this right now. Guys, this is game 1, day 2 here, the round of 8. Queen versus Mind. Let's get into this.
So we have on the right side, Mind. And up at 12 o'clock, we have Queen. Before we really discuss this, I do want to jump back to what you were saying about like the depth of the lines and everything.
Yeah.
One thing I think is actually a big problem for Protoss is that Rain is only active sometimes. Because I actually think he is the best Protoss player. When he's active, it's like pretty clear, right? Like he just looks more together in all the matchups than the other Protoss players. And I
Yeah.
know that he got wiped by Light in that finals, but that was like there were a couple close games. And Light is like I think the best player in the world right now. But regardless, yeah, I think that really injures Protoss that you have like it's like the seasons where Flash didn't play because remember he skipped like 2 seasons, and it's like
Right.
the Terran line just can't hold up at that point. I think it's similar with Rain, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Rain's in a very unique position as well because he has a massive stream.
Yeah.
And the reality is that streaming has turned out to just be more lucrative, especially at the very top, than even being a top esports player. There are more millionaire streamers and who have seen huge success when the stream gets big enough. And he's
Yeah.
one of the biggest streamers in the country. So there's been times where Rain has said, I think especially was it after he won KSL? I think he decided to take like a year off from competitive StarCraft to kind of work at the stream. Keep in mind, it's not like they're necessarily mutually exclusive, but one of the features of streaming is that it actually requires you to devote a large amount of time, right? You can make good money on it, but you have to be on the stream, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I think Protoss would definitely benefit from having him here since he is easily one of the best. And I kind of like what you were saying. Yeah, I mean, he knows a wide range of builds. He's very solid with macro, with micro. Knows how to navigate a long series by picking the right maps and the right build orders to come in there with that. But it is interesting to kind of break down the races and how they're looking at any given time. Definitely so far this has been a Zerg season, but who knows, by the time we get to the round of 4, maybe there's only one Zerg there.
Yeah, that's a real possibility. It really is. This match can go either way. JYJ versus Sulky, probably the best match you could ever hope for. Honestly, that's the one I'm really looking forward to, even though all of them are great. Now, taking a look at this first game, right? So everything looks pretty normal, but do notice that there's no gas for Queen yet. So Queen is going to rush into a 3rd base. I'm very excited to see what Mind is going to do here, because this is a build that is not very popular, right? This is not a pull first into 3 hatch. This is a straight 3 hatch at 3 different bases. So there is potential for Terran to put on pressure, and yeah, look at this. So even though it is a 3 hatch at 3 different bases, Mind is not going to go for like a +1. He's going to go for 2 racks, and he is going to try to get out quick medics, get out quick stim, and see if he can do some damage.
Yeah, this is interesting. It feels like it's quite a steal for the Zerg if they can get away with it, but obviously taking 3 hatches very quickly is something that a Terran player should be able to come out here and punish. And so we have the Academy just now started. The gas is on the way to being finished, as is the second barracks. And there's going to be basically 2 weak points that the Terran's going to focus at. Either the natural entrance, which is on the low ground which is shared into the low ground of the main, or the high ground 3rd base over there on the side. Keep in mind that ramps in StarCraft are extremely good defense points for basically every matchup. You can have minimal defense at a ramp, but it's just hard to kind of force your way up there. But when you share the low ground at a natural, it can be pretty easy to attack into. Since there's no chance to miss the shots because there's no high ground area there. So let's see where Mind chooses to go. Also keep in mind that Marines are not really that fast. So if Terran tries to put pressure in the wrong area, it's unlikely that the Terran could easily switch into the other area that may be weaker and get there in time before Zerg has both locations fortified.
Yeah. When you're doing a 2 racks Academy rush against this particular build, the best thing Zerg can do is 4 sunks. 2 at the 3rd base, up the ramp, and 2 at the natural. And then you just kind of have your lings, like, there to support the sunkens at the natural for the most part. And, like, that should hold everything. We'll see. Like, Mind is definitely getting ready to move out, but, I've definitely seen this build enough times from Zerg, and it generally just does end up as sunken defense all over the place.
Looks like the attempt to counterattack is going to be stopped because there's 1 fire bat up here. And this is such a funny wall-in, but it kind of works out perfectly. This weird depot that sticks out like that can have a Marine slotted in between the other barracks and depot, and you cover that nicely, along with that fire bat and the SCV down there. Now, keep in mind that since the drones have to turn into the creep colonies, The 4 sunken colonies that are going to be made this game does cause Zerg to lose 4 drones, but this is a good way that the Terran can generate pressure and basically force the Zerg to respect the fact that, you know, it's not easy. Oh, hold on a second. He's going to just rush up here.
Oh, the 2 sunks finish, and he has some drones here, so it looks like he is going to be able to hold. There are reinforcements coming up, but he even gets the medic. So that's a pretty clean hold from Queen. But look, it's the 4 sunks I was talking about. That one was a little bit late, so there was like a little bit of an opportunity. But basically, Queen is safe at this point. He's got to get his Mutalisks out. The one thing that I do see from Mind is he got a very, very, very fast factory off of this. So not only did he do the Academy Rush, but also we see him like trying to tech up really quickly, maybe into Valkyries.
Yeah, there's also a very quick Queen's Nest here. I mean, you can get a Queen's Nest very fast on 3 bases, but this one even feels fast for that. The Lings are going to come in here and start to kill off the Marines, and like, this is real value. When a small number of these Lings can kill off this many Marines, Terran's really going to feel it. Not to mention the fact that there were so many Marines that were killed off by the bungled attack over at the 3rd base trying to go up the ramp.
This is definitely a bit of a problem. He has to bring back his entire force, making a bunch of turrets right now just to make sure that he's not going to keel over against these Mutalisks. But you're right, that's like such a fast hive that this is 100% a Guardian Rush. He's trying to get that out like this is one of the faster Guardian Rushes I've seen. He's trying to get out before you have any sort of critical mass of Valkyries. And of course he has the Hydralisk Den to just have Hydras to kind of support the unit set. Oh my god, a science facility? I guess mine didn't scan how quick that was. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, the Queen's Nest is actually over at the 3rd base. And maybe he did not see the hive that was coming there that fast, but I mean, this is definitely a problem when you look at this from the Terran's perspective. I wonder if the Zerg is prompted to do this because he killed all those Marines. What do you think?
Yeah, it is a possibility. Like, you need the kind of a critical mass of both, but with that extra sunken I just saw him start, I'm not really sure what that's all about. Maybe there's some small chance this isn't a Guardian Rush. Because he threw down an Evolution Chamber too, which you normally don't get with Guardian Rush. You normally don't get that Macro Hatch with the Guardian Rush either. Maybe this is just a rush into Lurkers. Like, but the thing is, the hive was very quick, as you said, so it definitely looks like a Guardian Rush, but Mind isn't really reacting to that either.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see in a second if it, in fact, is a Guardian Rush or not. But, you know, having a quick hive means you have to get something that's going to be hive tech. You know, it could end up being some kind of extremely fast Defiler mound as well here. Oh, nice shot there. Takes out one of the mutas that try to fly through.
And look at that. Like, he's definitely not going for those Guardians. I like the Observer jumped over to check, too, because it definitely looked like that. But, yeah, it looks like it is just going to be pretty quick Lurkers. He has added on that additional Sunken, and, you know, he's getting up into Defiler tech, getting that very quick Nidus as well. So Queen is going to just make sure that everything is fortified for now.
Yeah, another hatchery is going to come down here as he's going to be producing a lot of cracklings to complement the Dark Swarm and Lurkers that are going to be coming here. Terran is moving out on the map, but I don't know that either of these bases are pregnable here, you know, for mine.
Well, 3 sunks, one of them way far out there, so we will be able to pick that off. But as the Lurker burrows, you got to pull back a little bit. Still, this is good pressure, right? You've killed a sunk, you've killed an Overlord, you have some map control right now. And, of course, a Radiate should be just about ready. So, Mind going to rotate around and pressure a bit, but this is turning into, like, a very standard game very quickly. Ooh, he's going for a Vessel Snipe Tastosis. Oh! Good save from Mind.
Yeah, nice Irradiate there as well, as we're going to see these mutas fan back out and slowly get picked off here. Is it possible we have dropship play come in here where he might just try to catapult into the main base?
Yeah, like, I mean, he might go for some dropships. You kind of see the way he's patrolling there. That might actually signal dropship. When you go around the edge of a base and you're aggressively irradiating Mutalisks, a lot of times that is what you're going for. But yeah, it's kind of like a stylistic thing. It's up to Mind if he wants to try it. But against a very turtled up Zerg, you can't really count on dropships to get damage.
Well, there's another Terran base coming down here. You know, and right now it's kind of a weird spot in the game because, you know, Zerg is just not going to come out and engage with the Terran until it's time. The Terran can't really attack into the Zerg, otherwise you're going to lose Marines. So it's a phase where both sides are basically powering up. We have the command center that is going to finish at that third, but we probably will have another one in between the second and the third for a fourth command center in just a little bit here.
It definitely does look like that. Now scanning to see what he can see. By the way, notice the 4 hatches. This is really brilliant and beautiful from Queen. You know, this is a type of style that actually kind of, I want to say that Eclipse made Zergs really understand how to do this, where you have that third base where Queen has it. It's not easy to get a fourth. So Queen with 4 macro hatches, basically what we're going to see is he's going to really power up with units, come out, and then take a fourth. Like, he's going to have enough to push Terran completely back.
Yeah, he's going to have quite a bit of Hydras and Zerglings and Lurkers, all with Dark Swarm here. And this does seem to be a trendier style to kind of mix in the Lings and the Hydras together and just have a lot of stuff. And see if he can't traverse all the way down there to that third base, or who knows, maybe even into the natural of the Terran.
Yeah, this is actually turning into Lurker Hydra Defiler, which we've talked about a few times this season. This is incredibly difficult to play against for Terrans. It's like the hardest new strat, right? Like Crazy Zerg for a little bit was really difficult. It got figured out a little bit and not as popular now. But this one is like kind of insane. You can't really kill it because it's just pure plagues, pure dark storms all over the place. You know, Hydra's one-shotting bio is very difficult. So I'm excited to see Mind try to counteract this.
Here we go. The Dark Swarm comes down. Now, keep in mind that Hydras and Marines, both under Dark Swarm, they can't hurt each other, but Lurkers can hurt Marines, so that means the Zerg always gets priority here. Beautiful Plague, basically hitting almost every single Marine.
Yeah, this is exactly how you want to do it, man. And coming in, he's hitting the Plagues, he's hitting the Dark Swarms. You can see the army he walked around with, too. Mostly Hydras, like 1 Lurker, a couple Lings for Defiler food, and like the bio can't do anything against that. Like you said, right? The Lurker under the Dark Storm pushes the Marines back, so the Hydras are just safe the whole time. So this is going to turn into mass tank with bio for Mind. And Queen, it looks like he's getting like a little bit maybe over aggressive right now. I'm not sure that this push is going to work.
Yeah, it does seem like Mind is pretty healthy right now. I love the snipes, by the way, on the vessels. I can't believe that one didn't get killed, by the way. But, yeah, he's going to put 1 more Dark Swarm. He's going to inch towards these tanks. Mind has the right idea by having this really healthy spread. He's got a lot of room to kind of, if he loses control of one place in the middle of the map, he can run over to another one and basically buy time.
Yeah, but look at this, coming down once again, trying to... Oh my god, he got the full energy Defiler. Queen a bit too slow there. He actually had a path to go and force maybe a liftoff at that third base location, so definitely loses a big opportunity there. Mind, you know, is being pushed so hard, though. Look at the supplies, Tasteless. This is not a very common thing, but Queen has so much right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is looking so strong here. He's going to come in here and take out these 3 tanks. That is huge. We have 2 more tanks actually coming up here from the bottom, as well as 2 more over here just to the side. 1 tank does live in that mix. Mind is continuing to patiently mass up. Keep in mind that, you know, Zerg is funny in that they're, in this matchup as well, unable to, like, have enough hotkeys when they're maxed out to have their whole army move. And if they did have that, they would be busted, and no one would be able to beat them if you had, like, were able to select all of the units at once. But it gets kind of hard when the Zerg starts to get this high in supply to have all these low supply units move at once, like Hydras, Zerglings, a couple Lurkers. And so it's very, very tough to kind of move in unison.
That is certainly true. The kind of more stifled attacks you see a lot of times out of Zerg because of that. Now, Dark Storm going up at this third. He's got it. Man, this is getting really bad for Mind right now. He does have a supply advantage, but he's lost a lot of the tanks that are oh so crucial. And as this additional Dark Storm goes down, like this is really hard, man. Like he might deny a bunch of mining here with that Lurker.
Yeah, you know, once a Lurker gets up here, if there's no fire bats, there's really no way to fight this. so much production is coming out right now for Queen. I mean, this is a real powerhouse Zerg. He's on 4 bases, but the number of lings that are hatching here, he may want to, I don't know if he wants to maybe try to change. No, I take it back. I was going to say maybe it'd be better if he had his rally in the middle of the map, but then that's a great way to lose the game when you can't control, and don't have time to reset the rally points once more. But Terran's on the move. Terran headed northbound is going to come over here to what is actually a not very well defended base right here.
Yeah, but he got that plague off. There was like 10 fire bats there, and he plagued them, and they just insta-died to everything. So you see, these are kind of the problems, right? Like, you can never really attack into this composition. Just plagues going off. Look at this. The vessels get picked off by Hydra Plague so quickly, quicker than anything. Like, way scarier than Scourge. And, I mean, even a couple mutas going hunting for vessels, but they've already all died. And I think Queen has just, like, this was domination. But... like, just one thing to mention, this is like a newer strategy from Zerg that people are still figuring out how to play against and how to play. And mine just hasn't had the right stuff going on this game.
Yeah, it's funny because it looks so low tier. It almost looks like what you'd fight a Protoss player with early on.
Yeah.
But, it's the fact that Plague is so devastating to clumps of units that Zerglings and Hydras just killed him immediately. The way I think Terran could try to fight against it is to have a very good spread where there's no obvious place to Plague. It's going to benefit you. Honestly, mine setup right now is pretty good. But you can just see the value that Queen is getting where he's wiping out such huge swaths of these units.
Yeah, really only the siege tanks hold their position, hold their value here against this type of strat. But you can see how heavily Queen is macroing right now. He is, well, actually he has a lot of units over that side. I thought that was a hatchery. So I was like, oh wow, yeah, he's getting his 5th. But no, he's not.
Okay, so he's going to try to push these back. And I think that there's going to be a pretty big flank coming in here. It seems like Queen has finally found those units that were over there and can come up here. And there's just so many screens of StarCraft here that might have to try to multitask on. It seems like he is just barely not going to hold this, dropping the 2 tanks here in the front and kind of getting a positional reset over here. I think the Hydra numbers, they're just too high. The infantry are not large enough to have any kind of sustain. They can just get shot down one by one.
Yeah, a very, very tricky game here. And you can see he's just like adding in lurkers wherever he needs. He's always got so many defilers. You can't even use a radiate against this, Like, it's not working. He's losing the vessels between Plague and the Hydras, targeting them down. It's hard to get anything to connect. And GG is called a very dominating game out of Queen. Like, literally not even close at any moment.
Yeah, I mean, that was a scary game, no doubt, from Queen. Queen kind of makes it look easy, but it really was an impressive feat, seeing how he set everything up so nicely for himself. To recap here, he did get a 3rd base extremely fast. I think, weirdly, one of the more impactful moments in the game was when Mind bungled that attack on the 3rd base and basically threw away any of his chances to do any damage from there on out. He was on the defense. Queen, I think wisely so, didn't get a 4th base right away. Instead, he powered up. He threw down hatches. He cranked out upgrades. He got those defilers out. And you could see that for a while, Mine didn't really have a place to try to target. I think, and I could be wrong, correct me if you disagree, Tastosis, but maybe you want to try to get a 3rd base and a 4th base faster. You can't attack into the Zerg instead of trying to sit back and, letting Zerg power up and then, the ball's in their court.
Well, I think he got his 3rd base at like a very good time, and then he saw it was the Hydra base thing, so he's like, well, I want to start siege tank production. So maybe the 4th base was like slightly slower, but yeah, I think what they're showing right here is kind of a critical moment where the first like 5 tanks fell too quickly and too easily. I think you see that Bioforce that's behind this that's walking back. I think that was the big problem. Like, you need to actually zone everything out until you have enough tanks that it's completely stupid for Zerg to attack you, right? Just like you can't go kill Zerg. It's like that. I always go back to this thing that you said where, like, if you can't kill a base, don't try to kill it. It's like, well, you're playing against someone who has unlimited Defiler Lurker, right? Because that's their end game tech, and it doesn't cost that much. So it's like, why are we trying to kill things that we can't kill, right? Like, zone everything out, have your siege tanks into position, keep your bases up and mining, and maybe hit a better critical mass.
Yeah, I agree. He needs to have a really big arc that controls that whole bottom cove area, where the third and the fourth is. You just need to have enough tanks that there's really no way to get into that jungle of splash damage. But once you lost the third base, I think all other opportunities were out the window.
Totally. You're not going to be able to clean that up in any reasonable amount of time and get your economy back online and truly fight. Like, you need to not take any damage throughout the game. So Queen leading 1-0. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, 76.
안 그래도 그럴 줄 알았어요. 기운이 안 좋아서 이렇게 반대로 된 것 같아요. 네, 고마운데요.
초등학교 때 진짜 해남에서 영재반 수학 경시대회 나가가지고 입상을 하는 그런 영재다운 모습을 많이 보여줬죠, 제가. 저한테 도움되는 거는 기억을 잘하는데 아니다 싶으면 기억을 잘 안 해가지고 저에 관한 거는 그래도 다 알 것 같아요.
그럼 제가 다음 문제를 풀어보겠습니다.
네.
뭐야 얘? 이거 다 다른 사람인가요? 누구지? 난가? 에라 모르겠다.
여기는 제가 모를 수가 없는 게 우승할 때 여기에서 했거든요. 콜로세움 들어가 들어가나? 뭔가 이런 느낌이었던 것 같은데.
7인가? 빨간 지출 3회 만화도 상태 영환이 조일장 다 풀었습니다.
16강에서 같은 조에 속한 적 없는 선수 박성균이죠. 얘가 16강에 올라온 게 기적이라서. 김성대 3대2, 장윤철 3대0, 정영재 3대0, 박상현 3대2, 김성대 1번. 오케이.
끝난 건가요?
스테이지부터 한번 추천을 해볼게요.
네.
떨린다. 2번 최호선. 이건 장윤철이에요, 딱 봐도. 좀 길쭉길쭉해 보이는데 최호선은 머리가 굉장히 커요. 티가 나네요, 2번.
정답입니다.
그죠? 예.
아 이거 알 수가 없어요. 눈을 일단 태경이 형 봤거든요. 이건 확실해요. 근데 이거 코랑 입을 모르겠어. 그냥 찍을 거예요. 그냥 성균 윤중으로 찍었는데 누군가요 이거?
윤은 김재건 선수 맞습니다. 장윤철 선수.
아 나 윤철이일 것 같았는데.
이번 이기호 선수.
아 재호 딱 들으니까 알겠다. 아, 윤철이 같긴 했는데 윤철이 코가 더 길쭉할 것 같았는데 아니었네. 마지막에 드랍십 떨어지는 게 멋있었거든요. 발키리 탱크 러시가 들어가면서 치열한 싸움이 펼쳐지고 거기서 아슬아슬하게 또 이겨내고 근데 또 끝난 줄 알았더니 갑자기 디파일러가 나오면서 그 병력이 또 막히면서 살짝 이거 게임이 모르겠다 싶은데 거기서도 마지막 딱 종지부를 찢는 네, 확실하게 종지부 찍는 드랍십이었죠, 마지막에.
1경기에서는 제가 뮤탈로 마린을 거의 못 잡았는데 그래도 최종전에서는 뮤탈로 마린을 다 막 잡아먹으면서 게임도 아예 바로 끝내버리고 그 정도로 뮤탈을 너무 잘 쓰지 않았나 싶어서 뮤탈을 적었습니다.
그러니까 2번을 찍었는데
본인이 올라왔던 시즌 생각나시는 거를 한 번씩 얘기해볼까요?
생각이 안 납니다. 너무 오래돼서. 근데 제가 알기로 제 마지막이 막 세븐인가 24강이 한 번 더 있었으니까
4번이고요.
4번이에요?
대국민 스타일로 올라왔고.
아 대국민 포함이구나. 아 이번 시즌까지였네.
네.
잘 읽어야 되는데 다 못 봤네 이거를. 저는 6번은 1번 3회 이건 확실히 제가 기억합니다.
어떤 시즌 기억나세요?
그거는 기억이 안 납니다. 다른 BJ한테 제가 어필을 할 때 꼭 써야 되는 거기 때문에 3회로 제가 일단 기억하고 있거든요.
좀 더 기억하셔도 될 것 같아요.
예?
5번입니다.
예? 또 대국민? 2번까지? 와 이거 함정카드 이번 시즌. 저 5번이네요.
5번에 3번 마지막 전장이 플라즈마가 아니고 맵 이름이 뭐였지? 이름 들으면 아는데? 그 눈 타일 파란색 맵이에요. 예. 본진가스 2개 있고 그 맵입니다. 이 플라즈마 1경기예요. 그죠? 역시. 이거 좀 헷갈렸는데? 변현재 제일 많이 하지 않았나 싶어요. 일단 기억나는 것만 11번이거든요?
정확하게 14번부터서 제일 많이 붙었다고 되어있네요.
와 14번이요? 몇 대 몇이에요?
보스타운에서
아닙니다. 예. 오케이 정답.
8번이 저는 이제 3번을 찍었는데 3번 맞나요?
프로토스와 저그전이 50%, 테란전이 40%였어서 정답은 2번입니다.
2번이구나. 이렇게 골고루 잘했지. 그리고 다음 10번은 굳이 이것도 찍었습니다. 1번을 찍었습니다. 일장이 오늘도 만났으니까 맞아요. 몇 게임인가요?
9경기.
9경기.
조기석 선수랑 6경기.
6경기.
이영호 선수랑 8경기.
많이 했네.
김정우 선수랑 4경기.
4경기. 이러면 3개, 4개, 5개 맞췄는데요. 별거 없네요.
9번 같은 조 속한 적 없는 선수 박성균.
박성균 선수는
잠깐만. 있는 것 같은데요? 있다. 저 군대 가기 전에 맞아 했었어요. 생각해보니까.
정확하게
그쵸?
시즌 1에 붙었었습니다.
너무 옛날이라. 10번. 1번이죠. 시즌 9 김성대랑 3대2.
시즌 9은 홍구 선수랑 했습니다. 답은 3번 정윤재 선수가 했었어요.
그래요? 이때구나. 맞다. 나 이때 4강 갔구나. 헷갈렸네 좀.
연습할 때는 진짜 많이 힘들었는데 대회가 더 잘 되는 것 같아요. 요즘 너무 게임 욕심이 많고 이번 시즌은 더 높이 올라갈 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 파이팅!
저도 오랜만에 다전제를 하는데 다전제는 나름 자신이 있거든요. 4강까지는 일단 가보도록 열심히 해보겠습니다. 화이팅!
And we are back. Time to continue this best of 5 onward, where Queen has already flexed pretty hard here on Mind. I do think Mind has a chance to come back. I think that what you said earlier on, Tastosis, before we even started map 1, I want to reiterate that again. Neosilk was a very important map. It's a very fair map for both of the races, and I think the fact that Queen took a lead, and now we're going to be on Queen's map pick, which of all maps is 76.
Yeah.
So it seems like a very good start for him. Not saying that Mind can't come back, but things are looking very good right now for Queen.
Yeah, and this next map, like 76, I don't think it's like if it is decided which way it's balanced in this matchup. I'm unaware of that, but it seems to me from the games I've watched that it's a little bit better for Zerg. Because being able to jump around to all these bases with Nidus is like pretty sick. A little bit better than trying to get in with dropships, right? So, anyways, we'll talk more about it as we get into it. Here we go, game number 2.
It's so
Right on
funny.
the-
I always forget about these minerals until I see them on the map. This does have the kind of infinite money mineral setup where it's right by your hatchery, but that goes away in a little bit here. I'm curious how exactly Mind wants to approach this. I think Queen, I'm going to be looking at a lot here because I feel like he's probably onto something if he picked this map this early.
Yeah.
He must clearly have a lot of confidence on it. Remember that this map doesn't have to be long at all. In fact, we've had some crazy cheeses already. But TVZ, I'm not sure. I mean, how could this possibly look, Tastosis?
So it should be fast expansion from Queen no matter what. Oh my god, does he screw it up? Okay, he's getting it. If you screw up and your drone doesn't get down, the game is almost over. It's like you have to fast expand here because these are the only gases that you can get quickly without drop upgrade. But yeah, so basically from the Zerg perspective, 2 Hatchery Mutalisk is going to be the best opener. Because, with those stacked mineral patches, you actually get your mutas out faster than on a normal map, obviously. And then that gives you some air control. For Terran, I think every Terran plays a little bit differently. I think that one of the big keys, you are going to have to go Valkyrie here. No matter what, you're going to need Valkyries because otherwise the mutas are going to truly dominate. So we'll see if it's going to be like a 1-star Valkyrie, a 2-star Valkyrie. I've seen some Terrans go 1 base, like 2-port Wraith into Valkyrie here. But yeah, you definitely are going to need some serious anti-air to start.
Let's talk for a second about island maps because, we do occasionally get asked about, why don't they use maps like, why don't they modify Dire Straits or some of these classic maps that we saw in the past? The issue always came down to the fact that it was bad for Zerg. If you had an island map that had only, just your starting base, and the only way to get access to extra minerals and extra gas was to get off of the island, that inherently was just bad news for Zerg. Zerg really can't one base, and if they do, they need to do like something dramatic pretty quick. Whereas when you look at Terran and Protoss, they're actually kind of okay against each other on these individual island maps. They can actually kind of hang. I don't think it's exactly clear which one is stronger. Both dropships and shuttles you can do a lot of stuff with. And so what's happened with maps like this is map makers are basically to this day trying to figure out a way to give Zerg another base, but still keep the map mostly an island map.
Yes.
Now, we had the map Sparkle earlier, I guess a couple of years ago, actually. It's been longer than I realize as I say it. But and that map turned out to be too good for Zerg, where, they were just almost untouchable. 76, I think, is a better map. We're going to see how this affects Zerg. But whenever we have island maps, we want to always try to watch and see what the good Zergs can do, and if it's going to be something that can make for a balanced, interesting game, or we're going to find out that one race can basically get ahead of the other.
Wow. So that's a double layer, which is insane.
I actually had to blink there. I thought like there was something wrong with my eyes. Double layer. So this is probably Overlord speed and drop.
Yes. I haven't seen a build like this in like 15 years at least.
Yeah.
But you're certainly right. It has to be, the only reason you would do this is for the speed plus drop at the same time. And this is probably Queen just having a strategy that counters the quick Valkyrie type thing, right? If you're going to drop a bunch of Hydras in your opponent's base and he's making like a Wraith and a Valkyrie or something, like you might just win the game immediately at that point.
Yeah.
And of course, this will also allow him to take other expansions really quickly. But see, this is like normal stuff from Queen, and there's not a great way for him to get over there and scout or anything, right? Like, his idea might even be to scout like with the Wraith. So this looks like a very smart opener from Queen.
This looks really strong. And I'm also wondering, I mean, do you get the add-on first? I guess you probably want to get one Wraith out first to just kind of figure out what's happening.
Yeah, you probably go one add-on so you can get a Valkyrie very quickly and probably one Wraith to go scout. And then, like, based on what you scout, it might change a little bit. But the Wraith is going to be really, really key here to figure out what's going on.
We also don't know where the Wraith is going to go. It doesn't have to necessarily go across the map to the right. I mean, he might just go down. I don't know how... do you know, is drop and Overlord speed, is that the same research time?
Oh, I don't know, actually. That's a good question.
Yeah,
just unsure about that. But
yeah, okay. So I just wondered if, like, is this going to be a moment where suddenly he's just going to have fast Overlords and he just flies in there and dumps them right out?
It could be. And, okay, so it looks like... So that drop probably is quicker. I don't know. Or maybe he just got it first.
Maybe he actually just gets dropped first and Overlord speed is about to kick in. No scout, by the way.
You know what? Yeah, okay, this is wild. He actually, okay, so he ferries everything from that hatchery into his main so it can just run down the ramp and he can get them across the map immediately. With Overlord speed already done, you are definitely wondering about what's going on here. Mind runs into these Hydras, so at least he sees them before they get there. But is there any way to hold this? Is there any way?
Where does he want to go? Does he want to go to the main or does he want to go to the expansion? I'm really curious about this. He could probably even dice him up and go into both. Terran really just doesn't have anything to fight Hydras.
I think you want to just go one place. Oh, God, this is insane. Catches the Overlord, so he knows exactly what is being tried here, at least.
The bunker's up. Is it possible Mind's going to ice this attack out?
Yeah. It looks like he might, like the 3 Wraiths, stopping that drop. If that drop had gone off into the natural, you lose it.
All right, he's coming up. He's coming up right now. He's out of range of the bunker.
Well, he's going to have to bring just about everything up there. Definitely wants to reload this bunker as well, honestly. This is kind of crazy that he's outside the bunker right now with everything attacking him. The SCV's coming up and starting to surround. The Marines trying so hard to help fight. Siege tank pops out. Oh, my God. The Queen is dealing a lot of damage here, but this is a bit all in his build, isn't it?
I mean, he held it.
Yeah.
He did it. The bunker lives, the tank lives, more importantly. The combination of those two, and you can basically stop them from getting in there. The natural is going to not be harmed at all. There's a chance that maybe the next attack can come in here and do a little bit more, but I mean, all the key features of what Mind is going for are still here. He even still has the Wraiths, in fact, so he could probably even come out here and snipe down more Overlords.
That would be a huge moment if he does that. And honestly, just the amount of SCVs and the fact that the Hydras don't have anywhere to micro to, you can get them up against the wall. There's a possibility, like, you know, like right there, he just surrounded them with his SCVs. Because again, it takes a Hydra 12 hits to kill an SCV. So,
Yeah,
like,
very bad
SCVs are,
SCVs.
yeah, SCVs are surprisingly good against Hydras.
Yeah, and another problem is that one of the 3 production facilities that Queen has is marooned on this island near 12 o'clock. So it's like, it's hard for him to make Hydras and even get them off of there. He's going to come in here again. Is Siege Mode done? I guess you don't even necessarily need Siege Mode with what he's got.
Yeah, he's trying to micro these tanks back. The Hydra's obviously very microable here. He gets a Wraith, he gets a Marine. One of the tanks almost died, but, you know, of course, he is going to clean this up once again.
And, you know, he's going to kill these Overlords that are off over here. Now, this is a much bigger moment here, because oh my god! Okay, he actually unloaded the damaged Overlord. I was getting worried there, but there's a dropship out. You know, it seems like there's just barely enough everywhere, and really this game is more about Terran surviving than Zerg trying to chip away at him. Zerg needs to try to end this, and I think we're already literally past that point.
Yeah, I think Mind has basically secured everything at this point. The Hydra drops are doing less and less. Obviously, Mind did take some damage, but you can see the supply here. Queen is on so few drones trying to pull this off. It seemed like a very big brainy play, and if those Wraiths hadn't intercepted the first 3 Overlords, I honestly think Queen would have killed him. But, you know, when all your eggs are in that basket, like, wow, I hope his Wraiths don't see me. You know, you're taking that risk, and sometimes it's going to backfire like here.
I think he probably should have been better at hiding the Overlords when he came out. I think when you see Overlords speeding, you see Hydras running on the ground, it kind of gives away what your plans are. And, you know, now I think this is a real uphill battle here for Queen. I'm not saying that, you know, the game's over, but this is certainly uncomfortable.
Yeah, it feels like Mind has this big advantage. Now, how do you utilize this advantage, right? You got to ferry the siege tanks with dropships. The Marine Medic can walk up and down these ramps, so that's good at least. But do you just do like a big push into the main base? I feel like that's the play.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Artosis. I kind of feel like you just unload everything on the low ground and just slow walk it up, go right up to the entrance of the main and just start pushing there. Keep in mind that, you know, what Zerg did was not without sacrifice. I mean, it's great to have drop and Overlord speed. Those are certainly 2 upgrades you're going to pretty much get no matter what if this game goes on for a while. But the fact that we didn't have attack into mutas is pretty rough, honestly. You know, having that muta tech up would have been nice so that he could control and stop drops or maybe even combat the Wraiths. Do we even have a Spire at all, actually?
I don't think so. I don't think he has one. And, you know, well, he spent so much money trying to get these drops, the speed, the amount of Hydras he had. Like, his natural looked, it had like 4 drones at it or something when he started the attack. So, you know, he's starting to, like, regain, you know, an economy here or build an economy for the first time, I guess. But everything looking really rough for him. And look at this. The double drop comes into his back natural. That Spore doing some serious work on this drop ship, but the Marines and Medics going to trade pretty favorably here.
Yeah, and this, I think, in some ways could be the beginning of the end here. If he can't get control of this, currently the only expansion that he has. I mean, the Hydras are tough, but, I mean, yep, that's it. Okay, short and sweet. Mind takes that game, ready for the strategy that Queen was so confident would carry him into the 2-0 lead. It has backfired. Queen is frustrated. And I think Queen, you know, you got to be a little bit sneakier than that because Mind, you know, he sees those Hydras running on the low ground. He sees Speed Overlords, you know, following right behind that. And he goes, oh my God, this is a drop. This is an all-in. And he knows all he has to do is pull SCVs, repair, block Hydras, and you're going to win the game.
Tastosis, I got to point out, like, Mind there, he had a smile on his face while he shook his head. That I love it, because I already love this guy, but the fact that he's shaking his head at that filthy cheese that he just smashed, hell yeah, man. Tied up 1-1 now. Both of them having pretty one-sided games. It felt like for a moment maybe the cheese could have ended up working, but Mind just, he dealt with it superbly. And no real chance from Queen. So, honestly, I don't know what to think. Tied up 1-1. It just feels like we're going into almost a fresh best of 3 after this.
Yeah, 2 very different games. And this was the moment he decided to drop. Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't actually catch the moment a little bit before this, because I think that was really the moment that the game was decided. You know, one of the reasons why you never see pure mass Hydra against Terran is because it's not good. But because this is an island map, Terran gets tempted into trying to make wraiths and tanks, and you know, you're not really worried about an attack like that. But once you see what's coming, you know, Terran, Medic Marine and tanks, they just beat this. So,
yeah.
You know, as this attack failed, it's like very easy for Terran to just make what they were going to make anyways, which was eventually going to be Medic Marine, and they're fine.
That it's really true. If you don't have Defilers mixed in, that's kind of the big difference here. It's like if you don't have Defilers mixed in, Marine Medic Siege Tank just absolutely pummels Hydra Lurker. You know, as long as the Terran doesn't like rush into it, like you will just destroy everything. These units are not meant to fight the Terran army without spell support. So yeah, a big win there for Mind. I'm sure he's very happy with picking up a victory like that. And you know, Vermeer is the 3rd map. I almost feel like we're gonna, again, start it fresh. You know, it's like figure out, okay, where are these guys really at? Because those 2 games were really one-sided. There wasn't a lot of back and forth.
Yeah. Well, let's go to a break. When we come back, we're going back to the classics. Vermeer is where it's going to happen. Mind vs. Queen continuing on in just a little bit.
드디어 카운트다운을 시작합니다.
4, 3, 2, 1.
떴다. 제로 칼로리로 기분까지 가볍게. 밀키스 제로.
솔직히 인간적으로 2개 다 가졌어요 baby 칼로리 제로 맛은 제대로 그래 걱정 빼고 고민 빼고 맘소리 빼고 This is zero life This is zero life 뺄 건 뺐어 질성제이다 제로 맛있어 제대로 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살살 제로 칠성사이다 제로
너도 탐세봐 탐세로.
Welcome back, everybody. This is now effectively a best of 3 as we are tied up 1-1 to see who is going to move on here and go up against Best in the round of 4. Again, that game on 76, really interesting to see Queen's approach to it, but it seems like a player like Mind, if he spots it even a couple seconds before the strategy activates, he's able to deal with it.
Yeah, that was a great block from him. I think definitely, you know, obviously Queen is practicing for this match. I guarantee you he won a bunch of times in practice with that type of strategy. But yeah, very well blocked there from Mind. Has to be feeling strong after that. But going into our next map, it's going to be Vermeer, a pretty standard map. So it should look a little bit more like game 1, but will Queen use that same type of strategy?
I mean, I think he could. I think there's no indication that Queen would need to get rid of that style of play, but you know, one of the best ways to play in a best-of-5 is to have a pretty wide variety of openings. I know this is generally more true in StarCraft 2, that one game can impact the other as far as play styles. I do think it is still true in StarCraft 1 from time to time. You know, if you come into this really expecting to have a super fast Defiler rush, paired with a bunch of Tier 1 units like Hydras and Zerglings, and then just a couple of Lurkers, you can definitely get thrown off if suddenly somebody's going Ling, Lurker, Muta, or something like that, or you know, a Guardian Rush, or a weird Lurker cheese. You know, the variety is what actually makes it, you know, sometimes so hard to switch it up and get into where you need to be.
Yeah, you know, like, especially when you think about, like, your opponent preparing for you, right? Especially in the TVZ matchup, it's like, okay, well, I mean, we do have a few different types of openers. You could open like a 1-1-1, or you could open mech, or you could open bio. Mech probably not at this level as much, but like a lot of what you're doing just depends on what the Zerg wants to do. The Zerg is actually more in control of the flow of the game, right? They get to choose from like 5 different unit sets that they could use against you, and you kind of have to counter that.
Okay, going on to Vermeer, man. Expect anything. Mostly this has been mined on the receiving end of everything, by the way.
Yeah.
Just to point out, we haven't had a lot of time to really see if Mind has anything crazy to throw in here. So far, seems like he's stuck with very, very standard play.
Well, you know, that's it's hard unless you're going to really cheese the Zerg to do anything else, I guess. Here we go. It's going to be map number 3 on Vermeer, tied up 1-1. Let's see who takes the lead. All right, so bottom left there we have
first. I guess it's going to be me.
Bottom
going
left, Queen.
Into this game, I got to say, Queen looking so strong. Artosis, are you there? Did you drop out?
No, do you hear me?
Oh, I think I can't hear your mic, Artosis.
Oh, that's really weird.
All right, well, I'll just continue to cast this. We'll see if we can get your
hello.
Your audio setup fixed. This is just like a real live cast, guys. We have our own tech problems.
Oh my God!
You know,
do you really not hear me?
And you're going to see us work through it. So, anyways, going into this game again, I think Queen, he looks so strong. Artosis, I can't hear you. You're messaging me now. What? Now you just came back.
Hello? Okay.
Yeah.
You can hear me again? I don't know, man. That's that. I heard you the entire. I'm like talking. I'm like trying to say what corners you're in. Like, well, I guess I'll just talk. I'm like, wow, he really wants to talk.
I'm so sorry. No, I didn't hear you at all.
So.
Did something change on your end?
No, man. I don't touch anything. You're so rude,
weird.
Tasteless. It's like everyone's going to be really shocked that you wouldn't let me introduce the corners.
This is megalomaniac. No, I don't know. The audio went out. I thought maybe your house lost power or something.
No.
But I'm glad you're back. I guess we just leave that in, or they edit you out. I guess we put a note in there for the editors.
What can you do?
Because it wasn't like we missed anything major in the game. I thought, like, there was this moment where the game started. I heard nothing, and I'm like, are we doing cast or chicken? Because I'm always going to lose at that. So I was like, well, all right, it's on. I will begin to speak here. Anyways, what were you saying when I couldn't hear you, Artosis?
Like, wow, the bottom left is Queen. Top left is mine. Oh, it's crazy. But yeah, anyways, I mean, we're at the beginning of the game. Nothing has occurred. It's you can tell what's going on here. It's going to be a Barracks expand against a hatch first, and Queen is... He hasn't gotten his gas yet. Hold on a second. We're going to figure this out. Okay, he is going to take the gas. It is going to be a 2-hatch gas timing.
So this is either going to be, into Muta or into Lurker. Lurker would be a surprise, but we do see it actually a decent amount in ASL. It is actually a pretty good cheese. But most likely this is going to be Muta tech.
I would say so. It would be pretty surprising for it to be anything else. It should just be a straight 2-hatch Muta into like some sort of, whatever he really wants. Honestly, 2-hatch Muta goes into everything. Over on Mine's side, of course, just the Barracks expansion. Very, very standard stuff. And we'll have to wait and see what he wants to do. Does he get the second barracks, or is he going to get the gas really quickly?
That's going to be the big question. When you do barracks expand like this, is it at all possible you can still go mech, or are you kind of organically forced into cranking out infantry?
So if you go for gas first, like factory first, you can absolutely go mech. But, like, for instance, if you go barracks expand, you know, like the 2 Marine barracks expand, that's the standard, and then you go gas immediately after the command center, you'll have, like, 1 Goliath when the mutas get there. So it's a little bit too slow. You can't really do that. So, like, anytime you see an expansion without the gas against 2 hatch, it's going to be a Marine defense. Like, it can't really be anything else. Like, you could try to rush up to Valkyrie, but you're going to have to make so many turrets, and it becomes, like, a really messy build at that point without much flexibility. So, taking a look here, this is...
land, that was, like, so perfect. The Marines, like, just nudged slightly out of the way. I was ready for them to just shoot out all over the place. Like, you pick up a rock, and there's bugs underneath it that just scatter everywhere. That was a perfect land. Look at how nicely they're just nudged in their single file.
Oh, I know. It's a beautiful location, actually. I've seen Mine doing this a lot, and in fact, other Terrans as well, but I feel like I've seen this type of thing from Mine more than anyone, where he's reinventing a lot of the walls that are being used in this matchup so that he doesn't have to get a bunker. And, like, that's a really good one, actually. That one I will be stealing. But, yeah, he's going for a very fast +1 attack, so we should see Mind go into 4 barracks here and put a lot of pressure out onto the map.
You know, anytime that you can skip the bunker, it's worth it. I've talked about this in PvZ, and I always wonder if it actually makes sense when I say it to people. Where like, you know, people are like, "How many cannons do you get when you fast expand?" And I say, "Well, ideally, you wouldn't get any." Is the way to think about it. You want to get enough so that you don't die. The same is true for bunkers. We'll see games where Terran has like even 2 bunkers or 3 bunkers, especially if they figure out it's like a lurker cheese.
Yeah.
But if there's any way you can go without making the bunker. Like if there's, you know, and you know, Mini kind of did this in ASL many seasons ago, but you know, he was just so good at getting the cannon as late as possible and getting as few as possible. He could get everything else out quicker. Having the extra minerals to produce more barracks or you know, an eBay or whatever it is you're going to go for, an academy is so strong. If you can figure out how to cut corners, it's always good.
It makes such a difference in these builds. I think people literally can't understand unless you play a lot of how big a difference it is to not have to make a bunker early on, right? Like, you just, everything else fits together. Like, look at this build right now. He's actually not going 4 barracks. He's going 3 barracks in, like, the fastest factory. So really, really interesting play here from Mine. Certainly not what I was expecting paired up with that quick +1, but you know what? He's getting his turrets, and it seems like he should be completely safe as these mutas fly in, at least for the first swipe.
Yeah, these mutas are going to head right up here. Is this spot pretty bad for mutas? I know that Terrans do find it annoying. I guess as do Protosses when there's like this high ground area where the mutas can chuck attacks out and pull away.
Vermeer is actually a pretty darn fair map as far as the way that you defend the naturals. I mean, I've been known from time to time to complain about things that feel unfair, but Vermeer is well made. Like, the turret placements are good. Like, yeah, there's some high ground there, but notice how there's like a little bit of space. That little bit of space makes all the difference. If that wall is up against the minerals, like, you lose every SCV. In this case, you notice how they have to actually show themselves before they shoot, so they're actually taking missile turret hits. So yeah, it's solid. You're totally fine here.
Interesting. Yeah, I think this is a very good map. I'm guilty of ticking this map off on my ladder map selection because I just, like, every once in a while there's a new map and I'm like, well, I can't deal with that right now. That's a problem for future Tasteless, but I should probably untick it because I think this is actually just a great map. And I'm glad we're getting a lot of great solid maps. I think we had a couple of seasons, even maybe about 2 years of ASL where I was like, okay, can we chill out with the maps? Or if we're going to have crazy maps, can we also have just really good normal maps?
This might be the best map pool that we've had ever in ASL, honestly.
I think you're probably right.
Retro and Dark Origin are both, like, really legit maps, I think. They're, like, really, really well made. And then, of course, Vermeer is just, like, the best map, and then Sylphid is the best 3-player map we've ever had. Like, really no complaints about the maps this season. Even the crazy 176 is giving great games.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty good. I almost wouldn't mind seeing that in the ladder pool, by the way. It looks like the Marines are going to come out here. Really good engagement from Queen, kind of pulling away the mutas that were to the right and looping them back around. There it is, Tastosis. Dun, dun, dun. The Queen's Nest is early. This looks like it could be a setup for basically the same thing that we saw in Game 1 where Queen dominated.
Yeah, it could end up being that same type of strategy, but it's third base, of course, a lot later this game, so definitely a different flow to get there if it's going to be. Mind's defense has been very strong. That defense of the Ling Muta, he should be really happy of. He didn't even lose the entire first group of Marines, so definitely, like, right now, I like this game for Mind. Like, I think he's got a bit of an advantage. His tech is nice and quick. His Bioforce has really grown well. And look at how much Ling Muta Queen has made. Like, he is trying to pick up, like, this entire force. He wants it to come out, and he wants to just step on it.
Oh, my God. He's going to come in here. This is really nice. The Lings, they didn't quite run by the Marines in attack. They kind of trailed him. So I think Mind was able to recover very nicely there. We're getting up to those 5 barracks. We've got a starport and a factory without a rally just yet. But, I mean, the macro is so on point. I mean, look at how many blinking lights are over here in Mind's base. He's not missing a beat.
Yeah, he's nailing everything. And by the way, you mentioned that non-rally. You don't want Queen to know that you're making siege tanks. If you can hide that you're making siege tanks ever in TVZ, it's huge. Like, you want to come out and have them be like, oh no, like, my defilers might not be ready in time.
The mutas are just forcing out, you know, a few more stims here in the main. The scan comes down. It's pretty obvious, by the way, when the defiler mound is this early. Terran needs to do something. Terran wants to try to get a play in before the consume upgrade is done. Really impressive attack up here from Queen, but that irradiate kind of messed everything up. The science vessel's actually still alive, and I think that attack might have been such a bad overextension. I'm wondering now if Mind can take this all the way with this push, because he lost so much. These mutas are so bruised.
Yeah.
Another irradiate is just around the corner, and, you know, the mutas all feel the irradiate, at least initially. Oh my God, he gets that vessel. That's huge.
That is a big pick off, that second vessel right there. No irradiates for a bit. But he's still got one for the detection, which is really all he needs for the beginning of this push, at least. And in fact, look at this. He stands and fights the lurkers because he needs to cut through here as quickly as possible. This is the real key, is trying to get through the spread Sunkens and lurkers before Consume is ready.
Yeah. This is the one moment where if Terran can tear down these defenses and start to shell the hatchery, it would be huge. And I got to say, there's not a lot to work with right now. This vessel, by the way, is so low on HP. It's like such a nail biter here. I think he does have energy for a radiate, I think. But, you know, he's got to... Oh, no, not just quite yet. Dude, the zoning is, like, perfect.
It's
here.
Perfect. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely perfect.
Mind is playing out of his mind right now, man. This is insane what we're seeing. More and more Marines come down. Those 2 siege tanks continue to push forward. What a tough position here for Queen. His engagements have not been strong enough this game. A Defiler is out. Consume finally done. And I think he has just enough. But we have something going on in the bottom right. Oh my God, a drop comes out. And he does snipe the lurkers there. But I think the Queen is just going to hold both positions, maybe? Oh, God.
Yeah, well, hold on. These 3 Marines, it's definitely enough to do some horrible damage over here to this position. Mind is, like, everywhere at once. He's actually unsieging those tanks. He's going to pull back away. He's still causing a real headache over here. I think there's 6 Lings that are about to hatch. The Nidus is going to get denied. 6 Lings can maybe actually win this fight, but it's not that cut and dry. If the Marines are microed correctly, he might be able to get away. The Dark Swarm comes down once more and wipes out that first tank in the front and surround here on the tank in the back, but somehow Mind manages to get that away as well.
Oh, man, 10 kills, 4 kills. These Marines out of control. The Lurker comes down to try to save this all, and he might end up saving that hatchery. Not really sure. No, I guess with another drop coming in, not as likely, is it? Oh, my God, he's trying to do Boxer Micro. Oh! He's literally doing Boxer Micro.
GG, Queen taps out. What an ending. I love the failed Slayer's Boxer Micro. That really shows you the era that we're in, where it's like, well, this is never normally the way you want to devote your time.
Yes.
Is to have
never
one Marine.
correct.
In theory, guys, you can actually have the Marine sidestep the lurker shot and matrix dodge everything. It's actually not that easy to do. It's funny because there was a full dropship just like waiting to get unloaded, which could have killed that. But wow, Mind takes that on. I got to say, a lot of this goes to Queen engaging the way that he did.
Yeah, his engages on the Marine Force every single time were not good enough against Mind. I think Mind played that. That was like so tight. That was such a well-executed build. He had his 1-1 upgrades. He had 2 tanks. He had 2 vessels, and was just able to deal enough damage and keep Queen busy enough while dropping that 3rd base. And of course, the drop is what really killed Queen, right? Like the main push was scary, but he held it.
And so, you know, I almost wish we could have gone to the little engagement earlier because I think that was just so impactful here. But the fact that he stood his ground here, I mean, this was like Giga Brain, Giga Balls, huge play. I think a lot of Terran players shy away. Note that the sunken colonies are spaced away so that the tanks kind of have to siege and unsiege. It's trying to drain more APM out of him. But, I mean, look, he even knew to attack in. And by the way, there was a period, I hope we catch this, but watch when the lurkers unbro. I think he wanted to shove here and run up and hit the tanks, and the lurkers were so stacked that they actually, look, they were just moving around. There was no way he could have run in there.
Yeah, 2 of them were actually overlapping, and those caused a bunch of errors in the movement there. So, yeah, maybe he did want to push forward. But you know what? He ended up holding it. The thing is, those Marines over here, when they sniped the Nidus, this is what like really killed the game. If those Marines hadn't done that, like there's still enough economy. He has a Nidus over there so he can defend it. He pushes everything back. The vessel count's not that high. We get ourselves some sort of game. But that drop paired with this push, too much for Queen to handle.
So exciting to see a Terran just crush a Zerg right in the mid game. You know, so I mean, Zergs are so good at never letting that happen that it's so cool when you actually see it pulled off. And against Queen of all players, we're just watching Zergs die to push in the round of 8, guys. That's what's going on here, whether it's best or it's mine. Quick break. When we come back, Dark Origin for map number 4.
드디어 카운트다운을 시작합니다.
4, 3, 2, 1.
떴다. 제로 칼로리로 기분까지 가볍게. 밀키스 제로.
솔직히 인간적으로 2개 다 가졌어요 baby 칼로리 제로 맛은 제대로 그래 걱정 빼고 고민 빼고 맘소리 빼고 This is zero life This is zero life 뺄 건 뺐어 질성 제대로 맛있어 제대로 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살살 제로 질성 사이다 제로
새로운 걸 참해봐 짜릿한 걸 참할수록 더 새로운 날이 보여 시작해 짜릿하게 참해봐 시작해 색다르게 참해봐 매일 참해봐 새로운 날을 시작은 새로 짜릿함을 탐해 매일 새로움을 탐해 너도 탐세봐 탐세로
Welcome back, everyone. This has been such a kick-ass series so far. I've got my fingers crossed that we can see Queen pull through and bring us to a Game 5, but I'll tell you, man, Mind, he's looking so solid. The fundamentals are there. The openings are so clean, and we all know that, you know, build order, opening, execution at the highest level is very, very tough. That's the unique feature of Brood War, is just trying to get through the builds mechanically is always a challenge. And you couldn't ask for better on-point play and just good mechanics than what you saw in Mind in that last game.
It was perfect. It was so well planned, so well executed. Queen with a couple of faulty engagements, unfortunately. The amount of larva he was spending on Ling Muta and the little amount of damage he got really piled on, and Mind was able to win that game much more quickly than I think Queen was expecting. So we're going to go to Dark Origin now. Definitely a very different map with those bridges and everything. Not really sure what we're going to see here. We might see some very teched out build from Mind, though.
Should be interesting. Queen, by the way, on the ropes again here. It seems like every ASL he gets a little bit further back. If he loses here, it's not looking good, man. It would be the end of his run for this season.
So, the top left, we have Mind. The bottom right, we have Queen. You do hear me, right, Tasteless?
I hear you. I was about to say, I'm like, don't worry, your audio is working. I don't know how that happened that I didn't hear you at all there.
I don't know, man.
I'm curious how the editors are going to stitch that together, if they're just going to have both, like me like a crazy person just like talking over you, and then we find out.
What are you doing here? Just leave it.
It wasn't until, it's so funny because I have a Messenger app open that I communicate with you on. It's open on my desktop.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I guess he's not there. I guess his computer crashed. Then I just see your message pop up, like, I hear you, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, hopefully we get this fixed.
Yeah.
By the way, SCV coming out right away.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's going to snake his way down to the bottom left. Hey, nice signs.
All right.
Love from Denmark, guys. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Yeah, yeah. So this is a very forward 8 racks. Mind will follow this up with a factory. So this is going to be a really teched out build. Like, he's going to be doing the Marine Rush, followed by, a very quick Vulture, and we don't know from there. Probably a Starport, to be honest. It's been a little bit trendy lately, honestly.
Very cool to see. From Queen, we don't have the spawning pool. We don't have the hatchery yet. But as the minerals continue to increase, you got to assume it's going to be a hatchery first. And that's never good if it's with a bunker that's, a barracks, and soon to be a bunker that's going to be made this close.
Yeah, and we'll see that gas added in like just a second here from Mind. And I'm not sure how many SCVs he'll end up pulling. Like, normally you do a rush like this with 2, but he could end up doing it with just the single SCV. There's his gas going up, and Queen going to go ahead and pool, of course. So let's see how much damage Mind can get done with this very initial push.
We don't have proxy raxes like this that often anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you can always do it on on a 2-player map, 2-spawn location map. But this is going to be interesting. He comes in, he sees that the hatchery's halfway finished. The Marine is going to come forward. He's now within vision range of the Overlord. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. I don't know how soon you want to actually show that. And I assume this bunker's going to... maybe he doesn't want to start it just yet. Yeah,
well, here's the thing about this build. Like, a lot of times you just do it with 3 Marines and you don't make a bunker because you have to afford the factory. And if you make a bunker, you can't afford the second depot. So it becomes like really risky. Like, you have to sacrifice a lot to do this build. Like, you're cutting SCVs occasionally, and obviously here he doesn't have the bunker. These Marines will end up dying. He actually didn't get any drone kills. The bunker finally comes up after he started everything else at home. But, this doesn't feel like this is a big problem for Queen. There's no way he's going to lose the hatchery.
Yeah, but he's losing a lot of mining time right now. The Lings are not going to get here in time before the bunker's done. I'm kind of surprised to see these Marines wrap all the way around.
Yeah.
And he's going to get in there. Now, remember that you can't actually target fire with a bunker. A lot of people don't know this, by the way. I actually like this part of the design in the game. Because it makes the micro a little bit more interesting, like the fact that you have to run out to target that. Mind was shut down pretty hard there. I almost wonder if that was worth it or not. I think he should have maybe tried to run back out. I guess the problem is that slowlings are faster than slow Marines. or not stimmed Marines, for lack of better words.
Yeah, I think you have to keep the Marines there. Like, you should have just kept them in the bunker probably and just, like, you know, sat there. But the Sunken was, like, perfectly placed by Queen. Basically a perfect block for Queen. He lost zero drones. And now he has a Sunken already. That's, like, pretty good placement for anti-Vulture as well, which is coming. Yeah, I mean, right now this game looks fantastic for Queen, but Mind still is going to have some tricks up his sleeve, right? Like, he's getting this starport. Maybe he goes, like, quick Vulture drop or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible. We have a Hydraless Den here. This can be a little bit misleading. He may make Hydras. He may not. He really needs to have the Hydra Den on the side because he doesn't want to let a Vulture run into his main as well. So, I mean, we'll watch and see if Hydras are going to spawn here, but we have a layer on the way. And, you know, honestly, at the very high levels of play, sometimes you'll see structures made at the front of the Zerg's base as part of the wall-in to basically mislead. It's like a red herring in their build order.
Well, you know, you see that Hydraless Den, I think you got to take it pretty seriously. It's, you know, is it going to be like mass Hydra? I don't think so. Is it going to be like 2 to 3 Hydras to hold back Vulture Wraith? That sounds more reasonable to me.
So he's going to come in here. He's going to be able to kill off the first Overlord. This will be a supply block. There's no obvious second Overlord on the map. You know, sometimes you'll have an Overlord that's maybe hidden in a corner or something, but because of the nature of this game and the fact that the rush came out as fast as it did, obviously, you know, the Zerg needs to react very quickly in positioning the Overlord. So I think that's probably the only Overlord kill we're going to have. I don't see any Overlords in the main. I think all the Overlords that are in this game are actually floating over the natural, where there are Hydras there to protect it. But the Wraith can come inside and do a little bit of scouting and you know, try to figure out what type of tech game this is going to be from the Zerg.
Yeah, like even seeing a Hydra run around with speed or something, right, is a huge find. So you have a much better idea of what's going to be going on there. But honestly, like, you're not afraid of Hydras in the early game. You saw it on 76, right? Even though he dropped a bunch into the main base and there was almost nothing there, you still kind of hold on. Like, they really need to commit into the Hydras to be able to kill a Terran player. And not just that, but like you have to catch him off guard and everything as well. And with the amount of scouting he's gotten done, it doesn't feel like that's going to be the case.
And now he's going to come out with these Hydras. And when you see 4 Vultures roaming the map, it could not be more obvious that it's going to be a dropship somewhere in the map. But he's going to run around and force these Vultures to basically engage with him. Vultures are actually not bad against Hydras. They're not great either, but like they can hang, I guess, for lack of better words here.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm kind of surprised this one Hydra's not dead yet.
Yeah, in the early game when they're very small numbers, the Vultures actually do well against Hydras. But as you start to get a bit more, they do get destroyed pretty hard. Now, this bunker is coming up. He, like, needs to get Marines into this bunker so badly. Oh, God, with this many... Oh, my God, he doesn't have anything in that bunker. Tasteless, it's a big deal.
This is huge, man. And I don't think this Marine can actually get down here. If he does this correctly, he can body block this, he could snipe. And I think we are at a very important moment where the snowballing can actually begin. The Vultures are just getting blown up. The Hydras are not stopping. Wraiths are not going to be helpful, not unless they have Cloak. And this is just enough that I think we're going to see a low-tech victory. GG. Queen gets his revenge after losing with his Hydras in Game 2. He does it on a land map in Game 4, and that means we're going to go into Game 5.
Yeah, mine was... the initial bunker rush was pretty weak. He went ahead and abandoned the drop. He realized he just didn't have much at home. Like, that was such a technical build. You have, like, a Wraith and some Speed Vultures, and you're trying to make a command center. And he couldn't get any Marines in that bunker. So, like, everything was just slightly too slow, slightly, you know, coming in too fast at mine there. So that's, like, another very quick victory.
You love to see it, man. I have such a great appreciation for Zergs that can do that. That's actually so hard to pull that off. And you're risking the entire mid-game, because if it doesn't work, you're in just a horrible spot. Yeah. And by the way, he actually even tricked us as casters. I saw the Spire making. I was so confident this was going to be, like, 6 mutas hatching. He, like, did a double fake. He got Hydra's speed, and he tried to make it look like Hydra's speed was the fake out for the mutas. And in fact, it was the opposite. He waited at the Spire finish. He made a bunch more hydras, and suddenly he just ran up. And those hydras are hatching, not on, well, you can see on the mini-map, but not on screen over here. But that was a really smart move, and that's why that attack worked, because this looked like some kind of weird moment where he was trying to draw the attention of the soon-to-be mutas away from the situation. But in fact, it's Lings and hydras. There it is.
And you can see he was actually microing really heavily there and didn't start the bunker for a really long time. Like, you have enough time to make the bunker if you get it right away. He was even trying to get Cloak, like just getting anything he possibly could to try to hold on against the Hydras, because like you said, if it doesn't work, then Zerg doesn't have a very good mid game from there. So, like, this was a risky maneuver from Queen, but ends up paying off magnificently. And that means we get to go to a game number 5.
Yeah, great series so far. You know, a lot of very different games coming out here. And it's cool to see that Queen has really tried to rely on some unconventional ideas in order to circumnavigate this solidness that is Mind going into mid-game and into late game. He just is so good at production, never missing a beat.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know what to think about the final game, man. It's really been back and forth. It's been like completely different strategies in every single game. But we're going to go to a pretty standard map in Retro for game number 5 after this quick commercial break.
드디어 카운트다운을 시작합니다.
4, 3, 2, 1.
떴다. 제로 칼로리로 기분까지 가볍게. 밀키스 제로.
솔직히 인간적으로 두 개 다 가졌어요 baby 칼로리 제로 맛은 제대로 그래 걱정 빼고 고민 빼고 맘소리 빼고 This is zero life This is zero life 빼건 뺐어 질성제이다 제로 맛있어 제대로 없어도 되는 건 빼고 사이다 제로 질성사이다 제로
새로운 걸 참해봐 짜릿한 걸 더 말수록 더 새로운 날이 보여 시작해 짜릿하게 참해봐 시작해 색다르게 참해봐 매일 참해봐 새로운 날을 시작은 새로 짜릿함을 탐해 매일 새로움을 탐해 너도 탐세봐 탐세로
Welcome back, guys. It's time to wrap this one up. Game 5 is about to begin. And this has been just a treat of a TVZ series. Such different games, such high-level play. I'm not sure who's going to take it. It's been so back and forth.
Yeah, it's really hard to predict because a lot of it has been just very sharp strategies, either working perfectly or getting completely shut down. So there's no like real pattern that we're looking at here, other than that there is no pattern, right? It's like completely different stuff coming out each and every game. Retro is a pretty normal looking map, right? It's one of these 4-player maps. It's got 12 bases, kind of normal layouts. No idea what we're going to see. Just no idea.
Yeah. I think a very fitting map to end this is, you know, it cannot be like the other games, just due to the nature, the structure of the way the map is laid out. But yeah, I mean, both these guys... Actually, hold on, let me take that back. I want to say it's really Mind really relying on some very core fundamental builds, with the exception of that one game he did the Bunker Rush on. And even that is actually not that crazy. I think a lot of times
it's a normal build. Like everyone knows the build. It's not way out there.
I think to the casual observer, you might look at a building in the middle of the map, be like, oh, he's cheesing, you know, or this is an all-in. If it doesn't, you know, it's not the case. that specific build. Maybe if it's 2 barracks in the middle of the map,
Yeah.
we got something else to talk about. But Mind really kind of sticking with, you know, what Tastosis would call honorable Terran play, where Queen has really mixed in a lot of very different tech switch-ups, and then some very modern late game with the quick defilers into Ling Hydra with some lurkers. Yeah, I mean, it's been a very good series. Let's not forget as well, the winner of this does go on to face off against Best. I think no matter who moves on, we're going to have a kick-ass round of 4, at least on that side of the bracket.
Oh, for sure about that. And if Mind moves up, we have a perfectly balanced round of 4 as well. So let's see how it goes, guys. Here we go into map number 5. All right, in the bottom left, we have Mind. And in
Hello,
the top
Tastosis,
left,
are you there? Hello? No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
no. You actually scared me for a minute. I'm like, oh, God, what is going on here? Why is
This
Tastosis'
is a
PC
weird
so
problem
bad?
to have in this recording. By the way, guys, as we are in the final match, we want to do our final plug for the Patreon. Please consider supporting us on there. This is the best way to support Tastosis and me and our endeavor to keep the history of the original esport alive in the most important league in that game, the ASL.
It's such an important part of esports. Brood War is, right? Like this is the OG game, the thing that really showed everyone what esports could be, and the fact that we're still going strong. And in many ways, like stronger than ever. If you look at how quickly the strategies are changing, how exciting the games are, like, I mean, you can't really beat what's going on. So thank you everyone so much for that support. And if you want to, go ahead, check it out. Patreon.com/ASL English.
And you know what's so nice about doing this and having the Patreon is this is how StarCraft 1 was kept alive in Korea, was basically through community support. Right, and you know Blizzard's been in a weird place, and it's really, we're truly grateful to earn your guys' support and to do this. It really means so much to us. So again, just thank you so much.
Yeah. So looking at this game, Tasteless, I was wondering if there was any chance there'd be like a BBS, right, like a super proxy cheese in the center. Instead, Mind is gambling by going command center first. If there was a pool first, you can just instantly die. But the odds of pool first, not super high. And with that command center going down, and Queen scouts it immediately, knows exactly what's going on.
So this is especially interesting. First of all, I love the choice from Mind here. I think he's showing that he really knows how to navigate a best of 5. It didn't even occur to me he might try this.
Yeah, me either.
But we have occasionally coined this economic cheese, where it's like, you know, if you're watching this game and you're not that familiar with, you know, the ins and outs of high-level StarCraft, you'd say, well, isn't this just inherently bad because it loses to pool first? Yeah, but what if they don't pool first? What then? And then you have a head start. But what also makes this build order interesting is that this Zerg scouted it first, and the Terran is scouting actually very late. Had the Overlord not gone in, the SCV would have gone to the bottom right, the top right, and then the top left. So I want to see, you know, Queen, he's not in a great spot, but he's in the best of all possible bad spots because he went hatch first, but he scouted this so he at least knows. And he can also send his Overlord into the main and try to figure out what's going on. The worst case scenario is, let's say the Terran spawn at the top right or bottom right, and Zerg doesn't find this out immediately. That's scary.
Yeah, he can't really react too much at that point. Mind has scouted him right away, of course, as you see, and knows the timing of that layer and everything. This will probably be third hatch in main base for Queen, but how do you counteract the advantage that Mind is going to have from this build? And that's tough, and it looks like the idea from Queen here is that he will just grind against it, because he's not doing anything risky. He's staying completely on plan. But of course, the Command Center first just gives you that extra boost. Like, you can get your +1 Academy going very quickly, a good high Marine count very, very quickly. Like, he could go 4 racks, or he could do that same build that we saw before with the 3 barracks with the super fast factory.
You know, this is kind of a funny position for Mind to be in, because one of the big highlights of Mind in this game is like his macro engine. His mechanics have been so good. Like, the whole base, his bases are always all lit up like it's Las Vegas, because he's never not producing out of any structures. He's never missing a depot. Imagine what Mind can do in a game where he gets CC up first and Zerg can't punish right away. My God.
He's got the wall and everything as well, so it's like you can't even hit him with Zerglings. There's no real weak point here. He has an SCV hidden as well, in kind of a clever location up at 12 o'clock. You see these Lings are looking for that SCV. And it looks like he will end up finding it, but then Mind, it's still got a lot of health, so he's going to try to go scout with it, but I don't think he's going to be able to get too much intel. Not that anything as tricky is happening here from Queen.
You know, one thing that's fun to watch for, that you'll see it in so many games, but we oftentimes don't remark on it, is watch, as the game develops, watch the Zerg player where he sends all of his Zerglings all over the map to scout for the probe or the SCV, and how good Zergs are on maps this big, how thorough they are at checking every little corner while they're back at home macroing.
And it's such an important thing, too. Like, games can definitely be won or lost on an SCV sneaking in to figure out exactly what you're doing. Maybe that saves them a scan. Maybe that shows them something hidden that you were trying to trick them with, So very, very important to kind of clean that map off and deny info, right? Only let him get that info through the scans from now on.
So the Spire's done. We're going to have some mutas coming out here. Builds like Mines are set up to get the turrets at the last imaginable second, so that you can get as many minerals coming in here as possible. Just like the other games, Mines base, he looks like development is coming along so smoothly. He's going to shift that barracks that was at the entrance up into the main and have a nice, healthy production layout. And let's see how much damage these mutas do. I will say right away, I don't think it's going to be that much. No,
the turrets are perfect right now, and he's got his 4 racks going. The +1, the range are both being researched right now. It's a great opener for Mind. We knew this going in because he went for that command center first, but he's executed it just right. He has exactly the right amount of turrets everywhere that the first swipe of mutas can't really do anything. And now he's going to walk out and start putting pressure onto Queen.
Yeah, he's pushing out. And, I got to say, it's always a bummer when the Zerg can't get, basically any damage off here. This is one of those games. Mind in great shape. Mobile on the map. Confident even in kind of this low ground area with mutas just on the high ground. He's in a good position. Yeah, nice snipe on the medic, but I got to say, man, I know that not a lot has happened, but I really like the game for Mind so far.
Yeah, it certainly is a good position, but taking a look at what Queen is doing, he's focused on the fact he has that quick 3rd hatch, right? So he's got a lot of production going on. The 4th hatch in the top right is ready as well, and he's trying to do something with units here. You can see he was microing heavily, but Mind comes in with that reinforcement just in time, right before Queen's Ling Muta comes down. So a lot of what Queen has been doing here has been focused on trying to eliminate the army, but Mind has been reinforcing just in the nick of time.
Yeah, he's also not going too deep. We saw on, game 1, actually, he just pushed a little bit too far out. And, Marines, when they stem, they're fast, but they die so fast if they're running. Okay, so he's going to get in between them. This is very cool to see. Lings are going to come in. I think he wants to run up into the main. Yeah, he's going to try to come in here, and this is where it could be very, very scary for the Terran, because the Lings will kill the turrets off. Although I guess not as many as I thought, but yeah, tactically, I think Queen is setting up a lot of interesting ideas. It does seem to be bouncing off of everything that Mind is doing.
Yeah, Mind's defense is still very, very solid. Look, the Lings are being dealt with. He has just enough turrets that the mutas do not want to run in there. Queen is starting a transition, though. He's got a hive on the way. He has a Hydralisk Den. Will he be able to stop the incoming push, though? Because this is actually really similar to the push we saw before, but this time it's going to be Valkyrie tank.
Very cool. Well, I think especially if the Zerg is leaning on Ling Muta heavily here and continuing to make Mutas, like we see 2 more just north of, right underneath the resource information tab there. That can be a great way to play because you can take this on head on. And let's not forget that Mind did have a victory here in a straight-up mid-game TVZ push where he crushed the Zerg before Hive Tech could really kick in.
And he is looking for that once again. He's got the Valkyrie out to push those Mutalisks back a little bit better. He's got double Siege Tank once again to try to push in before the Lurkers are really ready, or the Consume is ready. The Defiler Mount has been started. A Nidus is started, but he's certainly getting there before he's going to have Darkstorm ready.
So he's coming around. Oh, he's got to be careful. How many mutas does it take to 2-shot a Valkyrie? Do you know?
I think you can only 3-shot, right? Because it's like 200 health. So actually, 11 does like 99 damage. I guess if you have +2 on your mutas, you would 2-shot, I believe. So I think it's just not a realistic thing. It's like, I think you always 3-shot them.
By the way, he scanned and saw those Lurkers. The Valkyrie does go down, but so do the Lurkers here. In fact, I think he could just run up. I think this might have been a mistake to try to siege up on the Sunken Colony. I think you can just run up and shoot it down.
Well, he is doing some pretty serious damage here. The Sunkens are up, but it doesn't really matter. The Marine's going to stim into them. Mind knows he has a limited amount of time here. The Mutas try to come around for that flank. There is actually reinforcing units down at the bottom. I don't know if Queen has enough here.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly doesn't have that kind of backbone of Sunken Colonies, but a little bit of a misplay here. He doesn't escort the Valkyrie with the Marines. The Siege Tank is going to siege up, and Queen decides to scoot back. Scan comes down, he does... Oh my god, it's got 2 HP.
Oh, the Muta's trying to kill the Siege Tank. Can he get the Siege Tank? That would be huge, but oh my god, a ton of damage. And this natural hatchery is going to end up falling. A terrible situation here for Queen. He does have that base in the top right. He does have more Lurkers coming, and there's only 1 tank. Can he hold on?
This is so crazy. He's actually crushed the natural. There is a Defiler out here, and Darkstorm's done. A little bit too late, though. He's going to unsiege and move these Marines away. 1 Lurker shot should kill the tank, but he doesn't target it down, and it's still in the game. Artosis.
Oh, man. Mind is just doing such a fantastic job right now. He's going to rotate out. Killing the hatchery is as much as you could ever ask for in a position like this. So now it's 2 base Queen. Very tough spot. He's going to retake his natural, but complete control of this game goes to Mind.
Yeah, I mean, this is Mind's game to lose at this point in time. He is maybe the best TVZ mid-game I've ever seen. I mean, he's just... I can't emphasize this enough. I am so used to, and I'm sure everybody who watches a lot, and Artosis, you as well, you get used to seeing Terrans just kind of fail at the push, right? They have to give it an attempt because you have to try to make use of the parts of the game that you're in. Oh my god, great hold position Lurker.
Oh my god. That whole position was amazing. Mind just barely going to hold on and force a cancel on this one. Uh-oh, that's a pretty big deal. That could have been, like, if he had killed that off with the 2 Lurkers, I would have called him to be back in this. But as is, this is a little bit tough. No detection for Mind. Oh, and he sieges up in Lurker range, too.
But he kills the Nidus. I think, Queen taps out. GG. Mind, I'm saying it right here. He's got the best mid-game TVZ we've ever seen. I am so used to seeing Zergs hold pushes like that all the time. And eventually we get in the late game. But Mind just did that to Queen. Artosis, this is the second, in my opinion, crazy upset. I know some people thought Best might be favored versus Action. I thought Action had a good shot against him.
Yeah.
Here we are again. What an insane round of 4. What is this? What year is it? Am I in a Bizarro world? I just show up in this cast. Artosis, what season is this? Season 15. Oh my god, I'm in the wrong timeline. Not the timeline where Best and Mind are fighting for a spot in the finals.
Dude, that's so crazy. That's so crazy. And you got to know that Best is like, oh, yeah, because his PVT is next level. But I tell you what, I'm getting more and more convinced that Mind is absolutely one of the best players in the world. Like, every game he's shown us, you just look at it, it's like, well, damn, dude, he just does everything super well. Everything is really well thought out, and he's just trashing everybody.
He looks so good. It's definitely not a mistake. It's not luck. It's not the stars aligning. This is, you know, a Terran player who I'm not even sure who can beat him. I'm a little bit worried for Best, seeing how strong Mind looked here. The games that Queen took from Mind, I mean, one was just one of the most technical early game cheeses, and then of course just a very close game one. But two of the 3 victories that Mind earned in this best of 5 were based off of a strong 2-base push, a lot of momentum. Never been seen a beat on production. There was a moment where it looked like this might not be enough, and then the observer scrolls down, and there's like so many more like Marines and tanks. He clearly just resets the rally point to be outside.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
It was so well done, so well executed. His micro, his macro, his decision-making on when and where to move. Everything was so flawless from Mind. He really nailed it. And these pushes, like, if they don't work, the map really opens up quickly for Zerg, because, like, for instance, this one, no science vessels, right? You're sitting there and it's like you have some pretty good early mid-game units, but as you get into the later game, it's like, well, you don't have a radiate, what are you going to do? You know?
Yeah, you know, getting the hatchery is huge. I mean, it's funny because normally the hatch dies, but all the lurkers are killed first. This time the lurkers were actually on the back foot. They're like, oh, take the hatchery. We need these here instead. And by the way, Queen is so smart. When he set up that hold position lurker, it was kind of insane that in that moment we saw Mind scan and then do like a perfect surround. Anyways, guys, we're going to go to an interview and see how Mind is feeling. He's going up against Best, and one of those 2 players will be going to the finals of ASL Season 15.
나의 레벨은 다르다 어나더 레벨 하식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌 15 8강 2번째 경기 모두 함께하셨습니다. 풀세트 접전 끝에 결국 본인의 첫 4강 진출을 이뤄낸 박성균 선수와 함께하겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
군 공백이 있었다는 게 전혀 느껴지지 않을 정도로 그 누구보다 화려한 복귀 시즌을 보내고 있는 박성균 선수입니다.
네.
사실 2년의 경기장에 오지 못하는 공백이 있었음에도 불구하고 8강에서 단 한 번도 진 적이 없었던 김명훈 선수를 상대로 이렇게 본인의 첫 4강 진출을 이뤄내셨는데요. 소감이 어떠신가요?
일단 기분이 너무 좋고요. 4강이 이제 처음이에요. 그래서 이게 이렇게 어려운 일이었나 이런 생각도 들고, 그래도 오늘 이제 상대가 좀 잘하는 명훈이 형이었는데 사실 인터뷰는 뭐 장난친 거고 잘한다고 생각해서 쉽지 않다고 생각했는데 이기게 되네요. 네, 기분이 좋습니다.
김명훈 선수는 워낙 또 테란전을 잘하는 적으로 많은 분들이 알고 계시고, 박성균 선수 역시 김명훈 선수를 상대로 8강을 치러야 한다고 했을 때 준비 과정 역시 좀 쉽지는 않으셨을 것 같아요. 좀 어땠나요?
연습은 연습은 항상 잘 안 되거든요. 연습은 항상 잘 안 돼요. 그래서 연습 때 너무 힘들었고, 근데 이제 저는 사실 연습 때 지는 거 신경을 안 써서 거기서 이제 피드백이 되면 된다고 생각했는데 피드백이 안 되더라고요. 계속 안 되다가 이제 마지막에 딱 대회 전날 새벽에 좀 감을 잡아서 그때 그 감으로 좀 하니까 잘 풀렸던 것 같아요.
오히려 경기장에 왔을 때 박성균 선수는 더욱더 담대하고 침착해지시는 것 같습니다. 네. 오늘 8강 풀세트에서도 역시 그런 모습이 좀 잘 느껴졌던 것 같은데요. 2대2의 상황에서 마지막 5세트에 생더블을 하기란 참 쉽지 않은 선택이셨을 것 같은데요. 어떻게 그런 선택을 하게 되셨는지 좀 궁금해요.
일단 연습은 다 배럭 더블로 했는데 할까봐 고민을 했어요. 고민을 하다가 입구 막히는 자리니까 그냥 안 할까 하다가 제가 그 고민을 하다가 일꾼이 좀 늦게 나갔어요. 서프를 늦게 지어가지고 기분이 나빠서 그냥 생더블 했어요. 그냥. 네.
즉흥적인 판단이셨군요.
네네.
사실 첫 번째 세트가 패배로 이어진 이후에 두 번째 세트도 김명훈 선수가 좀 전략적인 빌드를 준비해 왔습니다.
네.
트레어 빌드를 가지고 와서 히드라 드랍을 준비를 했던 김명훈 선수였는데
네.
박성균 선수가 레이스를 좀 빠르게 발견을 한 덕분에 그래도 잘 막아낼 수 있었던 것 같아요.
네, 일단 연습 때는 한 번도 안 당해봤고 사실 그냥 뮤탈 상대 연습만 했거든요. 근데 이제 제가 그 정찰 보는 LCB가 그 히드라 봐서 그냥 다 즉흥적으로 대응한 건데 대응이 뭐 나쁘지 않았다고 생각합니다.
두 번째 세트 승리를 거두고 난 이후에 박성균 선수의 손이 완전히 풀렸던 것 같습니다. 세 번째 세트에서도 7시를 흔드는 동시에 드랍식으로도 5시까지 흔들면서
네.
경기를 승리로 가져가셨던 것 같아요. 병력이 나오는 타이밍도 너무 좋았고 5시를 좀 동시에 흔들어야 승리를 가져갈 수 있다고 판단을 하셨나요?
그거는 그냥 그 드랍십이 나와 있길래 그냥 보냈어요.
아,
그냥 보냈고
네.
연습 때는 한 번도 그런 플레이 한 적 없거든요. 그냥 다 즉흥적으로 한 건데 움직임은 그게 또 잘 먹혔던 것 같고 애초에 처음에 좀 명훈이 형이 좀 말렸던 것 같아요. 그 게임은 초반에. 그래서 제가 조금 분위기 좋았는데 그 덕분에 또 드랍십까지 통했던 것 같아요.
만약 박성균 선수가 첫 4강 진출을 이뤄낸 데 이어서 첫 결승 진출까지 이뤄낸다면 정말 이번 시즌은 박성균 선수에게 잊을 수 없는 시즌이 될 것 같은데 그 상대는 도재욱 선수입니다. 도재욱 선수 오늘 박성균 선수의 경기를 정말 응원하는 마음으로 보고 계신 것 같더라고요.
저도 그 생각했어요. 오늘 재욱이 형 나 엄청 응원하겠구나.
네.
제가 재욱이 형이어도 저를 응원할 것 같아요. 근데 이제 저는 사실 성대 응원했거든요. 뭐 근데 저그전이 편해서라기보다는 그냥 또 성대랑 친하고 둘 중에 한 명 결승 가는 거니까 성대가 근데 좀 아쉽게 지더라고요, 솔직히. 그래서 그건 어쩔 수 없는 거고 재욱이 형이 진짜 이번 시즌은 제가 24강 때부터 말했어요. 이번 시즌은 진짜 또 다르다고.
네.
재욱이 형 진짜 아니라고 막 부인했는데 저는 재욱이 형 이번에 진짜 일 낼 것 같다고 했는데 이렇게 4강에서 만나게
만났네요.
됐네요.
네.
그래서 근데 아마 이번에도 다르지 않을 겁니다. 네. 제가 결승 가겠습니다.
도재욱 선수의 이번 시즌을 다르지 않게 만들겠다는 각오까지 박성균 선수가 밝혀주셨는데 두 선수의 물러설 수 없는 4강 경기도 너무 많은 분들이 기대하고 계실 것 같습니다. 오늘 현장에 정말 많은 팬분들이 찾아와 주셨습니다. 또 응원해준 동료들도 눈물을 보이고 있는 여자친구분도 현장에 나와 계시는데요. 또 감사의 인사 전해주시죠.
또 오늘 또 별비랑 여기 친구들 같이 이렇게 응원 와줬는데 너무 고맙고 감사하고 그리고 오늘도 경기를 도와준 일장이 형이랑 제동이 형 그리고 짭제 그리고 예훈이까지 너무 많이 도와줬어요. 그래서 너무 고맙고 오늘 새벽에 근데 어제 저녁에 윤한 형이 자꾸 피드백을 해준다고 하는 거예요, 게임을.
김윤환 선수가 네.
가기 전에 피드백 받고 가라고. 근데 방송을 안 하고 계속 방송을 하고 있으니까 제가 그냥 방송해라, 너무 늦었으니까
피드백을
잔다고.
받지 않겠다.
네.
네.
그랬더니 이제 또 일어나면은 카톡을 하네요. 카톡을 했는데 갑자기 경기장 와서 또 피드백 해준다는 거예요.
네.
아니 시간이 없는데 언제 피드백을 해주는 건지 시간이 없는데 그래서 형 괜찮다고 나 그냥 게임 할게 했는데 마지막에 막 엄청 장문으로 이제 뭐 상대가 뭐 빌려 모일 때 이런 거 해라고 막 엄청 보내줬어요.
네.
근데 제가 그때 핸드폰 반납할 시간이라 그걸 못 보고 그냥 반납했거든요.
장문의 카톡을 보지
네.
못하고 네.
딱 왔는데 읽는 순간 그 핸드폰 반납을 해야 돼가지고
얄궂은 타이밍이었네요.
그래가지고 덕분에 너무 도움이 많이 됐습니다. 네, 윤환이 형한테 고맙다는 말 전하고 싶네요.
이렇게 정말 진심을 담은 감사 인사까지 동료들에게 전해주셨는데 또 인터뷰에서도 팬분들에게 잊지 않고 웃음을 선사해주는 박성균 선수네요. 팬분들께도 한 말씀 부탁드립니다.
팬분들이 너무 응원 많이 해주셨고 너무 감사합니다. 그래서 앞으로도 더 열심히 근데 해야 되는데 지금 또 손목이랑 허리가 많이 안 좋아서 연습할 때 안 좋아서 이렇게 좀 쉬엄쉬엄 해야 될 것 같긴 해요. 근데 다음 강한까지 시간이 많이 있으니까 관리 잘해서 꼭 결승 갈 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
네, 박성균 선수 4강 진출 다시 한번 축하드립니다. 인터뷰 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
자, 이렇게 해서 이번 시즌의 두 번째 4강 진출자 박성균 선수와 함께했습니다.
What a great night of games, man. I gotta say, I mean, I'm not a Terran player, I'm not a Zerg player, but this was a real treat to follow. And, you know, if you weren't ready to accept that Mind might win an ASL, I'm sure that now you are, because I know that I am. I mean, he's looking so good. I know we had a lot of wild games in the round of 24 and in the round of 16, but, you know, as that dust clears, as that smoke goes away and we only have a few people left, you can really take a moment and appreciate a best of 5 against, of all players in the world, Queen.
Yeah.
One of the last fixtures of StarCraft in ASL round of 8s. He's gone now, too. He's gone the way of Action. Remember Action Queen? They don't get to the round of 4. Not in Season 15. That's for people like Best in Mind.
Yeah, people like Best in Mind, and that is honestly going to be an insanely good match as well. I'm so excited about this, honestly. Like, it's unreal how good this bracket is. It really feels right now like every single player that remains could win this tournament. And I don't think it ever feels like that in the past, right? Like, I would have even told you before this, I'd be like, I don't know, Best in Action, they don't seem too likely. But at this point, looking at this bracket, these 6 players that remain, anyone could take it. I can absolutely see roads for everybody.
And in a tournament that's been so dominated by Zergs, how funny is it that, you know, to get to the finals with Best in Mind, you have to be good at PvT or TPT. And let's also keep in mind, you know, we obviously have a guaranteed Zerg, Jaedong or Hero. I think Hero's favored there, but don't count Jaedong out. He really wants this. If he was ever going to win an ASL, this would probably be the season to do it, considering we already didn't have Flash, and now we don't have a lot of these other players that we were so used to. You know, no Light, no Snow. Not to take away from the guys who are here now. I'm just saying. I mean, I think if he had a shot to do it, this would be it. JYJ versus Sulky as well. I think that might actually turn out to be the hypest of the entire round of 8.
Yeah, JYJ's late game macro in this matchup is unbelievable. Like, what we saw from mine there was really good, but it was all timing based. Like, JYJ is great at grinding people down, but so is Sulky. That's such a good match, Tasteless. As a Terran player, you couldn't ask for a better one.
It's also possible we have a ZVZ there. I mean, Sulky could take it. You know, I think you and I are very much in agreement that, like, it's always safe to say that Sulky actually wins versus anybody. He never seems to be bad. He does have some weird games, but overall he seems to be very comfortable at approaching all matchups on all maps at a way that makes it actually pretty easy for him. JYJ's fundamentals are obviously very strong, and the fact that he is a Zerg killer makes him a likely one to actually get to the finals itself. And of course, Jaedong, this might be the best story of all. He's the guy that actually moves on and actually gets to the finals. That's just so cool. And of course, Hero. Let's not forget that this guy has looked like the best in the world just behind Flash. Gets murdered by Flash in ASL finals. But no Flash this time around. Maybe there's nobody that can stop Hero. Yeah,
Hero is due for an ASL victory as well, but we'll see what he can do against Jaedong. You know, Jaedong, of course, everyone rooting for him. I mean, this has been just such a good round of 8 so far, and these next 2 matches going to kick ass as well.
Those are going to be starting in a week. They haven't happened yet, but once they're done, we're going to be recording them the next day. They're going to be edited, and we're going to try to get them out as soon as possible. Thank you again for the love on Patreon. We really appreciate it, guys. Patreon.com/ASL English. And any closing thoughts, Tastosis?
No, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the Jaedong match.